Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's LFC Transfer Room post-match reaction to Liverpool and Everton. Obviously, the last derby at Goodison Park, and I can see comments coming through already. Fuming, worst referee performance, completely gutted, completely echo all your sentiments there, lads. I'm completely gutted about the kind of end of that game and the way it's gone there. And obviously, we'll get into it in a little bit more details in a minute, but it felt like ticking over to potentially massive 3 points to finish it off, and then I don't really know how, but the game's carried on ticking over till 98 minutes, and there's obviously been the equaliser right at the end. So we'll get into it in more detail between the three of us, but it just feels like an absolute sickener to concede the goal like that, to draw the derby in the way that we did. So we should be here talking about 9 points clear and a big 3 points for us tonight, but it is what it is. First of all, just welcome the two guests we've got tonight. We've got Lawrence in his first stream tonight. Hi, Lawrence. Hope you're doing all right, mate. And hi, Stitches. Hope you're doing okay. I know sick, like we just talked about before the stream, sickening the way it's gone in, but I hope you're okay otherwise. I'll jump straight to the two of you. First of all, I know we kind of jump in straight away with how you kind of feeling, but Lawrence, obviously the way it's gone right at the end, how are you and how are you feeling about the game, mate?
I think obviously echoing the comments that are flying in there for referee was abysmal. To be honest, I thought that the first 10-15 minutes, I thought, all right, he's going to let the game flow, we'll get on. But it seemed he'd lost it. It's pretty much after that. Obviously, I feel like we made them look good in a way. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they were absolutely outstanding. They didn't play us off the park, but obviously the comments say it all. We should have won that game. It should have been 9 points clear, but we're sitting here talking about 7. So
yeah, that's it. Well, you Stitches, I know we kind of jumped on just before, where you obviously feeling the same as everybody else right now, but how are you feeling about the game on slight reflection of it? I know, like you said, it's easier to kind of walk away from it and forget about it at the moment, but how are you doing?
No, mate, I feel sick to my stomach. I feel sick. I'm disillusioned with the whole game, mate. The last time I felt this sick in my stomach with a refereeing performance was when we played Tottenham, and they disallowed a goal and sent 2 men off in the same game and rewrote football history and rewrote football rules. And it just can't keep happening. I don't want to be on here talking about refs, but yet again, we're here again, and we're meant to have the best referees in the world, apparently. That's what I keep getting told. But the standard of refereeing is it's abysmal. It's completely abysmal. Look, let's get it out there. It wasn't the best performance that I've ever seen from us. It wasn't, right? But what you do as champions is you stay in the game and you grind, and then you get yourself in front in the way that we did. We did what we needed to do as potential champions elect. We did what we needed to do to get our noses in front at a very tough Everton, where we knew they were going to be up for it, where we knew it was going to be a cauldron, where we knew, do you know what I mean, we were going to have to hang on. And we did all of that. We did our jobs. But the officials then decided, for whatever reason, for whatever explanation they're going to come up with over the next couple of days, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to find justifications for the bullshit, pardon my French, that we've just watched. And I'm tired of it. It's nonsense. It turns the Premier League into WWE, right? It turns it into entertainment, not sports, because it isn't fair, because it isn't equal. There's some other thing going on that I'm watching, because how you get an additional 3 minutes plus played at the end of a game after 5 minutes extra time, right? How you do some of the decisions that he's made in that game, I'm scratching my head to think what's going on here. I've seen fouls given for less than what happened to Konate in that penalty area. The guy had 2 hands on his back.
Well,
2 hands on his back.
Just look at the foul for the first goal. Apparently, you can kick alongside someone, you completely miss him when you get a foul, but in the last minute, you can get pushed in the back with both hands and you don't get a foul.
It's beyond incredible. And I've got to say, there's got to be an option where you can flick through who's commentating on matches, because having Ali McCoist and whoever the other dickhead was on
Aaron
commentary.
Fletcher, yeah.
It's just ridiculous, and Rio Ferdinand as well. Like it's just so unbiased, unbiased commentating. The whole thing was just a joke tonight, and then to give Slot a red card at the end of the game, like
Yeah.
Oliver's lost it. He'd lost the plot, lost control of the game from the first minute all the way through. Lost control of the game, completely terrible officiating. It's the worst I've ever seen. And he's meant to be our best. He's meant to be our best. I don't know. I don't know if I've given it away, but I'm absolutely seething right now. I'm seething. I just want to break something. I'm just like, I can't believe what I've just watched. And if I have to listen to rival fans talking about Liverpool,
Yeah,
between now and then the end of the season, it's just like, please give it a rest, right?
Yeah,
We've
no,
got a resume of decisions that have gone against us and things that they've done. You can't say that they want us to win this league. It's impossible. But listen, I'm going to calm down at some point. I'm going to appreciate that we're 7 points ahead, right? I'm going to appreciate the fact that we are in pole position to win the league. I'm going to appreciate what I already know, which is that we have to win this despite refereeing, despite officiating. And if I, my mum always said, if you point a finger at someone, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. If we have to take some responsibilities that we didn't do enough in that game, we didn't do what we needed to do to have gone clear. And yet again, we're relying on the greatness of Mo Salah to find us, to come and save us, from potential drop points. So look, when I put it like that, I don't know, man. I'm trying to keep my head down, but I'm in my emotions, man. I'm completely fuming. I'm seething. I'm just like disgusted with the whole thing. Like, and I don't want to listen to the bullshit excuses, and this just happens too much, too often. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Even the commentators at the end, they had to admit, they were like, if that was my team, I'd expect a foul for that. Like,
yeah, that's it. Rio
celebrating
the goal, and then all of a sudden, 20 seconds later, goes, "I'd want to foul for that." Though,
I'd want to foul for that. Everyone would want to foul for it because it's a bloody foul.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I don't know, man. Like, sorry.
No, and you're completely not alone in how you're feeling. There, Stitches. I can see pretty much all the comments coming through about Oliver unacceptable, Oliver disgrace, ref was a joke. I can see loads of different comments. And the funny part of it is, you see all over social media and the kind of Arsenal fans all the time, people that are always just going to be going on about the fact that, oh, it's a PGMO title this time because they can't throw the COVID title at us this time. But
yeah,
you see stuff like that, and it's like, what are they going to say now that we're apparently a PGMO title and we've got all the referees on our back, when Michael Oliver's found 3 minutes from nowhere to suddenly decide to give up?
Did you kind of see this coming? Did you kind of see? I did. See the moment that Oliver started getting death threats, the moment that Arsenal fans all piled onto him, and I discovered that he was going to be reffing this game, I just knew. I knew what was going to happen. It's the same as when Coots came out with everything that he said, and everyone was like, oh, the PGMOL and the referees are going to go easy on Liverpool now. I was actually like, no, they're not. They're going to double down because they're going to want to prove to everybody that they're not giving anything to us. And that's what we're seeing now. Like, all that pressure that he was on the other week, all that's done is just made him scared to give any decisions in our direction this week. Like, in this game, that's exactly, mate, I don't know, man. I'm just like, I get it. They're human beings. Human beings are fallible, this, that, and the other. And this is the reason why, despite all the negative things about VAR, right, as in the technology itself, not the people managing it, because you've got to separate the two. But the technology itself, it's not wrong. And actually, having the technology, all it does is let the whole world see the fallibility of these guys, if I can use that word. And all it does, it shows us just exactly how incompetent, inept, and terrible they are. And this just shows it. So as much as people want to say whatever they want to say about VAR, and it takes out the pleasure and all of this, I don't care, because you've got to shine a spotlight on this. There's either they're super incompetent, or there's something a bit worse than incompetence going on. Do you know what I mean? Because it's too much now. It's just too much. Sorry.
No. And I'm with you as well, Stitches. I'm not one for talking about referees normally in any way, shape, or form. I try to avoid it where I can. But Lawrence, I'll bring it over to you for a second. And I try to avoid it where possible, but you can't really when you see the kind of stuff that was going on tonight.
I mean, obviously, I think everyone's in the same boat with Stitches. We all are completely in the, like, obviously we watched the match, we've seen it. Do you know what I mean? We know what happened. The only thing I will say is that, to be honest, I don't believe we were good enough to win the game anyway. So I feel, yes, the decisions didn't go our way. The extra time, we can sit and we can talk about the refs and stuff like that, but we should have blew them out the water to begin with. We made them look like a half decent side tonight. I mean, Beto was the best player. He was brilliant up top. Let's be real. But I think other than that, I think they were not really that good. I feel like their ball, all they had was a long ball over the top that was dealt with most of the time. I think we weren't good enough at all. I think we were sloppy in possession. The midfield, the first 15 minutes or so, or even in the second half, I feel like they were just sloppy with their little 5-10 yard passes. And we were just like giving possession away. I know we had a lot of possession in the end up, but I just feel like the midfield was what was letting us down there tonight. We were just sloppy with passes in the middle, and we should have blew them out the water to begin with. I feel like that we can sit and talk about referees and whatever, but it should have been more than that tonight.
Yeah, no, I said it into our group chat before with people on the streams and stuff before the stream, before the match itself. If you take the emotion out of the game and just players versus players, the quality of our team should be able to beat Everton quite comfortably. But it's always easier said than done in the derby to try and take that away from it. Especially the last one at Goodison, it's going to be that emotion-driven kind of game, and in times that's what it did turn into. In the second half, in particular, it turned to a bit of a slog of a battle where it didn't need to. We weren't really keeping the ball for phases or anything like that. So I can see where you're kind of coming from. In terms of the first half in particular, Stitches just kind of we'll break the game down a little bit rather than we'll try and move on if we can from referees and try and just focus on what happened in the game a little bit. In terms of early on in the game, that free kick where I think we've had something similar before. I think it was a few years ago. I think it was reminded me of a goal we conceded at West Ham. I think it was Antonio, where we played a free kick and everyone kind of switched off. It's just kind of schoolboy stuff. First 10 minutes into a derby is when we really needed to be on it and kind of make sure that we didn't give them an impotence into the game and anything to kind of get them up and going, and to switch off the way to let Beto in for that, I think was pretty poor. And I know we kind of responded pretty much straight away quite well, but what did you make of kind of early stages of the first half and then how we kind of came back into the game from there?
Yeah, look, again, I know we don't want to mention refereeing. We don't want to talk about that anymore because we've ranted about it for the first, 10 minutes of this pod. But I'm still scratching my head trying to understand what the free kick was for. I'm trying to understand what it was. What was the contact? What was the foul for? Right, number one. So if I'm in that mind state, yeah, absolutely. The cliche is always be ready, always be switched on. Mm-hmm. Like play to the whistle, all of those cliches that you could come out with. But players are probably scratching their heads thinking, why is it free kick? Mm-hmm. Right. And obviously they've taken it quite quickly. It is sloppy. This is twice now that I've seen Konate get done in this way, where he's looking for the contact, but that allows the striker to manipulate him in terms of use his momentum to then get him out of the line of where the ball's going. I'm trying to remember where it happened to him, where someone done the same thing, and I think it was against Tottenham actually. Solanke done it to him where the ball got played in. It's a 50-50 ball, and he's tried to lead with his bulk, and that's allowed him to be just maneuvered out of the path, and then the striker's got a 1v1. So there's twice I've seen that. I don't want to be overcritical, but he's got to be aware of that. Like sometimes the physical contact isn't necessary. Sometimes just go and take the ball, just win the ball. Right? Stop worrying about getting physical with the defender, with the attacker. And I think he just got done in that way, and that was a bit of a rude awakening. Obviously, that got the fans up. Got like really loud in there, and then good thing we got straight back into it, because I think the longer that went on, the more it becomes a battle of attrition. It becomes more difficult. Getting that goal back as quickly as we did probably settled us down a little bit. It was still scrappy, as Lawrence has said. It was, it wasn't vintage Liverpool. It wasn't vintage, slot ball. But we hung in there, and that's what you got to do sometimes, especially in derbies.
I think that was the most important thing, was getting that goal back as quick as possible, because I feel watching Liverpool the last few weeks, or even this season, you could say, I feel like we've struggled to get them goals back as quick as we have today. So getting that goal back, as you said, it did settle us big time. And I mean, we can talk about the goal as well. I mean, what a bloody header that was by McAllister. What a ball from Salah. Yeah, it was an absolute peach of a goal. But yeah, I think that, as you said, I think that's the most important thing, was the fact that we got that goal back as quick as we did, because it just took the pace out of the game almost. Killed Everton's vibe, shut the fans up for a little bit. So
yeah, I think just after we kind of equalised as well, we did take a little bit more sting out of the game a little bit in that period as well. There wasn't really much else in the game until half time. The only thing I would say is I was just screaming at us for giving stupid, silly fouls away for no reason in and around the box. The only way they were going to continue to compete in that first half, once we got a bit more quality on the ball, was from set pieces and from crossing it in from free kicks out wide and stuff like that. So a couple of silly yellow cards and free kicks we were giving away. I know, again, you can say it was Michael Oliver in terms of giving yellow cards out here, there and everywhere, but equally some of those tackles we didn't need to be making. I don't think they are yellow cards, some of them, that bear in mind, but there's still some of the silly decisions to just dive in and make silly little tackles here and there, or pushing people behind when we could have just let the ball go out of play a couple of times and we've given away silly fouls. It still gave them the chance to be in the game, when really the quality should have started to shine through after we would have equalised and hopefully pushed on. And then usually we've been a much better team this season in the second half, and I don't really think we came out of the second half as we have in other games. I mean, they had a couple of early chances, didn't they? I think Decore had a header. I think someone else, I think it was just outside the box, had a shot just wide as well. And they looked like they came out the second half thinking, if we can get a goal, we might be able to hang on to something here. And the game kind of just went a bit sloppy and a bit bitty in between both teams for a period of time. And then I'll let you talk about Mo Salah stitches. I know you mentioned earlier on about coming back and getting the goal, but I would just,
yeah, absolutely. But can I just challenge you on something? Because
go ahead.
I just think the way the match was officiated, and we keep coming back to this, we couldn't play. We couldn't get any kind of quality going, because they were making some challenges that were not like yellow card fouls, but they were fouls like,
breaking up play.
Exactly, breaking up play. Diaz like controlled the ball beautifully, juggled it a little bit, went on a run, and he gets caught, and it's a foul, right? But because he tries to stay honest and tries to play on, he ends up losing the ball. It's that kind of thing that kept happening. So when we talk about the quality showing through, you need a referee who's quite strong and manages the game right. And all this nonsense that people talk about letting the game flow. You can only let the game flow if there's no fouls. If there are fouls, you still got to stop the game. Like, stop it. It's a foul. I mean, Ghana, whatever his name is, he grabbed Gapco on a break. He was on a second yellow.
I was about to say, and he was on a booking as well.
And he was on a booking. So he lets it go. And it's like, why does it seem when you make these decisions, when you let the game flow and you do all of this stuff, it's always to our detriment? You never let the game flow to our benefit. It's always to our detriment. So I'm just kind of like, I don't understand. It's like, mate, like, I get it. I want to talk about our performance and stuff, but I think that the referee was so pivotal in what happened.
That it's always
in that cauldron where every little thing that goes their way raises the crowd and gets their crowd going and creates anxiety in our team and stops us flowing in terms of playing our game. You kind of have to be a little bit understanding of why we weren't able to get going, because they stopped the game. Even little things that I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but say they think they got a foul, but they didn't get a free kick. As soon as the ball went off for a throw on or anything, they slowed play right down. How did they do it? They went to have a chat with Oliver. Why wasn't that a foul? Why wasn't it? So we couldn't just start the game and build on our momentum. The game stopped for about 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So they were very smart in doing that. And I just think, I actually thought after we scored the goal, we gained control. They didn't look to me like they were going to score. Like, I just thought we were completely in control. But after the 5th minute, and it got into the 6th minute after 90, and it started going on, and I'm thinking, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
When is this going to end? And it's funny because I was watching it with my son, and he said to me, Dad, he's going to play until they score.
It felt that way.
And it's literally
It
what
did feel
happened.
it, yeah.
It was like, is this game never going to... He took a screenshot, right, of when they scored. 97 minutes and some seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we'd done our jobs. We were over the line. We played the allocated minutes. We'd gone beyond that. So for me, it's just these things. I mean, I find it hard to like look at the game. Yes, we didn't play quality, but there's mitigating reasons as to why not. You know, when the game is stopping every few seconds because someone's fouling someone or leaving a late one in, and then he's not consistent in terms of his decision making, because Garner should have had a yellow, should have had a second yellow, right? But then you book Bradley for a challenge, which was late, but it wasn't like violent. It wasn't anything. You could have given him a warning, but you chose you got hyped up with the crowd and you gave him a yellow card for that. And it's like,
I think that's the thing as well. I think sometimes the officials get away. You have to understand the game, because it's a derby day. Do you know what I mean? The game's going to be a bit more physical. It's going to be a bit more, high energy. I think he did, like we're all agreeing, I guess. Well, we did lose the game completely, and I agreed. The Bradley yellow, I think that was another thing. Once you give Bradley a yellow, you give Robertson a warning as well quite early on, and that once you've done 2 of the defenders, it kills the game off, because Bradley can't make any more like tackles, and Robertson knows, all right, next one's going to be a yellow. So I think, and then obviously, forces us to have to make the changes quite early on in the game. I thought, to be honest, Bradley was brilliant at the start. I thought his aggression was perfect for what I believed the game was going to be. But I mean, obviously, once he got the yellow, he sort of quieted down a bit, didn't he? So,
and then he needed to get taken off, didn't he? It was actually similar to the Bournemouth game the other week, where Maka was on a yellow card, and I think he had an incident where there was a volley, I think, and he ended up tapping somebody on the side, and Slot pulled him off. Literally, the next chance the ball went out, he pulled him off, and he pretty much had to do the same with Bradley today, because you could see where Oliver was going. He was going to go, next time you do anything, you're going off. So it was, Slot had to pull him off as well, didn't he, just then?
That foul on Konate was less of a foul, was more of a foul, sorry, than the foul that Diaz performed on Braithwaite early in the game, where he just looked at him and ran at him. Right.
The thing I'll say about Diaz, I think, and I know the commentators touched on this as well, was I think he was a bit stupid every time the ball was coming over the top. He wasn't cute enough. He wasn't trying to play the cute foul. I was playing the ball. He was completely looking at the player, and I was like, I think that's where. I mean, obviously, I think we're all in agreement that Diaz is a better player, but I think that's where we miss Nunes in that, because Nunes has the height and the strength to just hold the ball up. And I think, obviously, Brantwaite and Tarkowski had brilliant games as well. So I think when you've got Diaz on the ropes, Diaz was close as well to coming off. I think... obviously, once Slot had made the decision to put him on the wing, it calmed down a little bit. But I think him playing up as the 9, I think he's just not cute enough with it. And it just changes the game. Do you know what I mean? I feel like another one of them, he probably would have got a yellow. And again, we would have been forced to have to make another decision whether to bring someone off or not.
Yeah. And before we move on to the end of it and we start to talk about right at the end where they've nicked the point, I'm just going to talk about Salah for a second for his goal, because it seemed like the game was kind of ticking away. We weren't really sure if we were there was never really kind of an open chance, so we looked like we were going to create much, and then all of a sudden from nowhere, kind of good bit of play from Nunez and Jones comes across to Salah. And I mean, there's been times this season where you just say he doesn't seem like he's in the game. He doesn't feel like he's creating much at all. And then all of a sudden, again, he just pops up with another goal. I mean, looking at his stats this season, I think it was his 35th goal, 46 goal involvement in goals and assists. I think I've had down 27 goals now across all competitions. 22 in the Premier League, 14 assists in the Premier League. Another game where he's got a goal and an assist tonight. Considering everyone says he's quiet tonight and doesn't do much, still a goal and an assist. So, from my own kind of perspective, I just hope the contract situations are sorted out soon, because to see that walk out the door to somebody else next season, I think it's not something I want to see or think about. So all I can say on that front is we looked like we were going to have Mo Salah as another match winner with another goal and assist, and then we will now move on to right at the end. What we were I know we were right from the start of the stream, we were talking about it, but to finish the way the game did is just an absolute sickener. I know people have said in the comments as well, we should see the game out. We should be professional enough to see it through a 2-1. But equally, when you've got another 2 minutes where the game's just ticking over for no apparent reason, the ball goes out in the 95th or something, 95th and a half minute for a throw-in or a goal kick. And every other game of the season, you see it and the referee blows the final whistle right there as soon as the ball comes back in. For some reason, it didn't happen. And whether it's, I know they kind of did the lines for VAR and it wasn't offside, but equally 2 hands in the back for a foul. And then I will give it to Tarkowski, though. It was, if my centre half's finishing like that in the 98th minute, I'd be pretty happy with it. So I will just give him his dues on that. But equally, it should never have got to there. Either of the two of you want to talk about the goal? I'll jump in with you, Lawrence, first.
I mean, obviously, as you said, it was a screamer of a finish, let's be honest. I think when you think about the history of Goodison as well, I think everyone was saying it was written in the stars for it to be a draw. I mean, as you said, once it was 1-1, I don't think either team looked like we were going to be dominating the game and scoring a goal. But obviously we did. I think we're all frustrated with how it's ended. We're all, pissed off with the decisions that have happened. My opinion, I think it was just offside. I don't think the lines were clear enough. I think the angles were a bit weird. I thought the other side was a little bit better of an angle to be looking at. I know the camera was a bit blurry, but you could still make out who was who and what was what.
The one from the top where they were showing it.
Yeah,
right yeah,
they were showing it on the other side. I thought that the lines would have been better drawn on there, but ultimately it was onside. Clearly a foul on Konate. Big decision to not give the foul even after review. But again, you can't take anything away from Tarkowski. The pressure of that moment to be finishing the way he did. Yeah. So, and I'm agreeing with the comments as well. We should be professional enough, regardless of whether it goes over 2 minutes, 3 minutes, over the extra time that we want it to be. We should be professional enough to, to finish strong. We're top of the league. We're top of the league for a reason as well. But I think little silly stuff at the end of games is what's costing us. So.
Yeah, Stitches, I don't know if you want to revisit the goal again or not. It's completely up to you, mate. But
no, I want to talk about Salah's goal and the fact that you and I have discussed this on previous pods. It's just when people say take him off and bring someone else on, and I'm like, you're mental. Like this guy could be out of the game for 90 minutes and then score in the 91st and assist in the 92nd. That's just what he brings. That's the devilry of the man. Fact that you can think you've got him and then he'll just pop up and destroy you. Absolutely. And I thought after he scored that goal, you really saw him coming into the game. I mean, he picked the ball up from the halfway line, beat 2 players, and then gets absolutely wiped out on the edge of the box. But yeah, again, no foul because it's no foul. And he's not allowed to get fouls. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the majority of the game when the ball's played up to him and he's trying to hold it up, you've got defenders hugging him, arms around his neck. He's being pulled from pillar to post, and somehow, some way, majority of the time, he's still got the ball. And the refs don't give anything. They don't give anything. And he doesn't get protected. Do you know what I mean? Ever since, I don't know who it was that just says, "Oh, he's so clever at getting free kicks and stuff." Since they've mentioned that, do you know what I mean? I'd be interested to see how many penalties have been given his way, or how many fouls get given his way that get called for him. So look, I just want to take that moment to talk about Mo Salah and how great he is, and I echo what you said in terms of like, I don't know what the hold up is. I don't know the nitty gritty of what the decisions are, or what's been negotiated, the length of contract, or what the clauses are that he's looking for. But if there's a way that we can find to keep this guy for another season or two, I think we absolutely have to do it. Absolutely have to do it, because I don't see a replacement. I don't see a plan for what we do when he leaves, and that's worrying. As for the end of the game, yeah, I think I've already done a rant at the start of this pod about my feelings about that. Yeah, I mean, isn't this the second time Tchaikovsky's done something like that against us, or a defender, an Everton defender?
Oh, the other one was Jagielka at
Jagielka,
yeah. They absolutely thunderblasted it in on a volley, and it's typical. It's typical. It is what it is. I mean, could we have done better in terms of defending that? Well, it's difficult when you go for a header and you get a two-handed shove in your back. You don't really want the ball bouncing around in your penalty area. I also thought, if you watch it back, have a look at the way that Breakway deals with Shimikas. He's completely got him in a bear hug and just manhandled him. It's like, and again, that's where, substitutions of Gapco and Gravenberch perhaps leaves us a bit short in terms of height in those defensive situations. I didn't see where Darwin was in that situation, because normally he's back there helping out. But yeah, the ball bouncing around, it's always a lottery where it's going to fall, who it's going to land to. It just, mate, it's just an absolute sickener. Absolute sickener. When all the dust settles, you look at it and you say, yeah, did we deserve to win? And we could be rational, we could be fair-handed and say all of that, but I'm still feeling bitter right now. We were in the lead. That game should have been done. That should have been 3 points. We should be 9 points ahead, but I'll take 7 when I've calmed down tomorrow at some point.
Yeah, no, and exactly that. There's a couple of things just in terms of the subs that I wanted to mention as well, just to see your kind of thoughts on, because obviously Gravenberch goes off a little bit earlier today than usually in some of the other games, and I saw a comment in here. I'm just trying to find it a second ago. I can't seem to come across it at the moment. Do you think the way the game was going towards the end, where we were 2-1 and potentially, I said while I was watching it, just make this now last 15 minutes as boring as possible. Do absolutely nothing. As long as we don't concede, I don't care what happens. If we score another one, we score another one. But I don't concede in this period. Just see the game through. I saw somebody had mentioned potentially Endo coming on in that period, and why Slot potentially doesn't bring him on in this type of period. Do you think potentially in this type of game it would have been a good call to potentially put him on towards the end, or do you think the midfield was doing okay with kind of where it was at the time?
I believe so. I believe bringing Endo on probably would have been a better call, and I wouldn't say not bringing Jones on. I think maybe a bit later on, maybe take Szoboszlai off and bring Jones on, or even McAllister and bring Jones on. But I think for defensively, especially whilst Kanate and Van Dijk were getting run ragged by Decore and Beto, I think Endo probably would have just broke the pitch up a bit, would have just broke the play up a little bit more. And I agree with the height at the back. We took Gakpo off, but I guess in that circumstance, you've got Diaz and Gakpo, and it's at the moment we're sitting here going, which one's starting or which one's coming off, because we've literally got 2 of the best left wingers. So I guess in that one, it's like, it's a 50-50 who you're taking off, isn't it? Yeah. I think maybe there was something else why Gakpo comes off. Maybe Slot wanted to get another goal. Maybe Slot wanted to be a bit more creative with the play. Maybe that's why he's brought Jones on. But I do believe actually bringing Endo on probably would have, we can sit maybe if buts and maybes, isn't it? Of whether it would have thingied the goal, but definitely would have broke play up. And I think relieved a bit of pressure off off Canate and Van Dijk, because Beto did not stop until the final whistle went.
Yeah.
So to relieve a bit of pressure, yeah, 100%. I think, and I'm biggest advocate for Endo. I think Endo's an absolutely amazing player, especially in his position. I think he's brilliant at breaking play up. He's one of them players that can, put a tackle in someone and not get a yellow. So yeah, maybe 100% bringing Endo on could have changed the game, but again, it's all if buts and maybes, isn't it? Because it's already happened.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Stitches? Do you think any of the changes would have been any different, or do you think we're happy with kind of what was already done?
Well, with hindsight, the Jones move was the right move because he led to us scoring a goal and getting our noses ahead. So, yeah, but then ultimately, I think the lack of height in the defensive, in our defense towards the end, where they just went full aerial bombardment, meant that, do you know what I mean? We were left a bit short in that regard. So, with that in mind, if we're talking about Endo, he's not the tallest. He's good in the air, but he's not the tallest. That's the one thing I'm thinking. The second thing I'm thinking is that given the way the game was going and the way that the referee was officiating the game, Endo tends to give away a lot of fouls and a lot of free kicks because he's so combative. And
he wins those few fouls like you were mentioning earlier on as well. He wins those types of little nitty fouls in between all the play as well.
He does, but he gives away a lot of them as well.
Yeah, of course,
And the way the game was going, like, it's more likely that they were going to be called against him than for him today, with the way that Oliver was set out. So it potentially could have meant more fouls being given away. I think the big one was Gravenberch. Going off.
I think we missed Gravenberch.
I don't think he was having his best game because they obviously had a plan for him because they weren't letting him take the ball on a half turn. He was getting pressed instantly. He was having to play the ball off like first time every time he got it, and he wasn't really in the game. So we needed to change that. So I understand the substitution, but I think he was a big miss at the end of the game. If only you could take him off and then bring him back on. Do you know what I mean? That would have been brilliant. But I think we missed him in that regards. Mate, so much ifs, maybes, and
that's exactly it, isn't it?
I actually thought, I thought Slot, you could see he was trying to impact the game. He was trying to make changes to bring something, because there was a point where they were just overrunning us. They were getting chance after chance. They were winning everything. We weren't winning anything. We weren't able to build up any play. So I actually think, you know what, he made the right choices. He made the right changes. He did impact the game. We did get control. But again, it comes down to you could play against 11 men on a pitch, but when the referee is determined to call things the way that he's called it, then, you know what I mean, absolutely, what more can you do? Do you know what I mean? What more can you do? It's mental. It's mental. I'm gonna scratch my head about that one.
Yeah, I think it was because obviously
just thinking about this. Sorry, just a second for this. The 3 red cards at the next match. I think Jones was sent off for 2 yellows and Slot got a straight red. So I think it'll be Jones will probably have a 1-game ban if I'm right, and Slot will have a 1-game ban as a manager being sent off as well. And I think the other one was to Decore, wasn't it, for 2 yellows as well? Sorry, go on, Lawrence.
I was just, like, speaking on Slot's impact of the game. Obviously, we started off as a 4-2-3-1. Obviously, Diaz sitting up at the top, and when we sort of broke out, it seemed like Szoboszlai was going up there as well. So we ended up having 5 at the top sometimes. But in my opinion, I didn't see it working. I didn't think it was working as well as it probably should have. I mean, obviously we got a goal from it. That's good. But you could see the difference with once we changed back to the 4-3-3. We started to relieve a bit of pressure off ourselves by playing attacking football. And obviously I agreed, Jones led to the goal. So again, I mean, I guess it's all a game of if, buts and maybes. If we'd have won, it would have been a different podcast, I guess. We would have been sitting here having calling everyone heroes and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it's just one of them things.
And that's the irony of it all, because at the point when we were leading, I was prepping to come onto the podcast and talk about how we've got away with one there.
Yeah.
And actually say, no, not a champagne performance, but we get the 3 points, professional, get the job done, 9 points clear. That's what I was coming on to say. There was at no point did I have it in my mind that, we played amazingly. That was never going to be the case. Yeah. But it's a derby. This is, I don't know. I can count on one hand how many derbies I've watched where it's been champagne football and we've just absolutely pummeled the opposition and come on. It was easy. Do you know what I mean? There's not many of those. So this is exactly what a derby is. But yeah, I wasn't ready to come on and have a discussion because the game had gone the way it was. It was just the most. Yeah.
And of the derbies at Goodison as well, I think when you look at, is it the last 10? I think we've won twice there. They've won once, and there's 7 draws in there as well. So it's one of them games where, like you touched on there, Stitches, it's always going to be that type of game. Even though we should have more quality than them, they always seem in the derby that it can go either way, or it can be a bit of a stalemate and a bit of a draw as well.
Yeah. On the red cards, just quickly. So Jones's was 2 yellows, right? So that's just a 1 match ban, right?
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
I'm not sure about Slot and the assistant because they got straight reds.
Straight reds. But I think with a manager, I don't think they do a 3-match ban for a manager, because it's normally in a 3-match ban in a game is for violent conduct rather than professional fouls and stuff like that. If it's like a last man, when you only get 1 game. So I think it's if there's only violent conduct. So I don't think it will be deemed that. So I think it'll just be a 1-match ban for Slot as well. I'm happy to be wrong. I don't know, but I think that's the case. Yeah. Just to touch on in the game as well, just I know it's hard to reflect on a game where it's kind of ended like that, but in terms of man of the match performances or anything like that from our standpoint, obviously Mo Salah gets the goal and the assist again, but like we kind of touched on earlier, there wasn't much else in the game where you can kind of think where he lit the place up. But is there anyone you'd kind of put out there for us as our man of the match? I know, I think on TV did they end up giving it to Mo Salah just before Tottenham Everton scored?
I think they give it to him. Yeah,
they gave it to Mo. They gave it to Mo. For me personally, I think he was the pick of the bunch. It wasn't amazing. I thought that McAllister lost a lot of duels today.
Yeah, I agree.
He was more being a nuisance than actually winning tackles. And I think that's because he was up against the Corey, who seemed to have fire lit up his arse today. Was well up for it against us. Other than that, I think when Jones came on, I thought he looked the part. He gave us a little bit more control in that midfield because he's comfortable on the ball. I thought obviously being a Scouser, it means a little bit more to him, as we saw at the end of the game there. And good on the lad. Do you know what I mean? I can't fault him for that. You know what I mean? He knows what it means. To those fans, he knows what it means for Decore to be going up and inciting the fans in that way. I'm pretty sure there's some rules about that against that sort of behaviour. So I'm surprised that not more has been made of it by the commentators or anyone said that, because I'm pretty sure if we've done that and gone and we won the game and decided to go and celebrate in front of the Evertonians, that wouldn't have gone down well at all. And the fact that they piled onto the pitch, invaded the pitch.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
There's rules against that, right? So
it's embarrassing.
I'm looking forward to seeing how the FA deal with this, because surely there's got to be some kind of fine or punishment headed their way for that, and everything that happened. So who knows? But for me, I think Salah was the right decision, but Jones was. I think I liked what he did when he came on.
I'm gonna give mine would have been Kanate, to be honest. I think he was up against it today with Decore and Beto. For Kanate, I thought he was solid, especially the first 15 minutes. He was absolutely solid. I think when Van Dijk probably wasn't, I feel like Van Dijk was a bit sloppy at the first 15. Obviously, as the game grew on, but a testament to Salah. He wasn't in the game all game, and then he's went on what we thought was nick the winner, and he assisted as well. So that's a testament to him in that, in that respect. But for me, I thought Kanate was absolutely brilliant tonight. I thought he was solid as always. And I get for their goal at the end, he couldn't do nothing about it because he was pretty foiled. So
Yeah, exactly.
Mine would have been Canate, to be fair. So I know you touched on with the Everton fans. I say it every season when they invade the pitch. Last game of the season, they're avoiding relegation and they invade the pitch. I think it's absolutely embarrassing. I think if that was Liverpool fans, I would genuinely stop being a Liverpool supporter. I think it's embarrassing. You are considered a top club in the Premier League. You're the only team in the league who hasn't been relegated, and you're invading the pitch.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Talking
I
of
hope there is a
relegation,
repercussion of it.
yeah, I would love them to get relegated.
I would love it. So would
I
I.
would have it.
I
so
would.
You can have your new stadium
In the
and be
Championship.
relegated playing in the
Yeah.
Championship. Like, I know they've got the new manager bounce at the moment and they're feeling great because they managed to get a few victories, but I would just love it if they just went on some kind of slump and got relegated out of the league. Because don't know,
I mean,
man.
everyone says it. They go, "Oh, we'll miss the derby. Honestly, I've said it for the last 2 seasons. I would love Everton to get relegated. I think, and the reason why I'd love them to get relegated is for the fans alone. I think the fans are absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah,
So
Jamie Hughes said that put the 2-2 draw in the derby in there.
it is. I mean, they won 2-2 today. That's what it was. They won 2-2.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we've kind of had a bit of a rant about the referee and stuff during the stream there, lads, and I know we tried to touch back on the game, but like you both touched on a couple of times, 7 points clear, still at the top. There's no real worry for the time being. I know Arsenal play earlier than us at the weekend, so it could be down to 4 by the time we play on Sunday, but I still don't feel like there's much there in terms of them getting back for a little while. So hopefully it's still at the end of the season seen as a good point and we can kind of take it as a positive rather than the negative that it feels like having conceded a sickener like that at the end.
Well, that's the fingers crossed, isn't it? But
yeah,
I mean, the only thing, I mean, I'll say it because I've said it since Christmas. A lot of Liverpool fans have wrote it off from Christmas. It's like, oh, we've won the league, but and everyone's going on like, oh, we've got an easy run of games, but for the next 4 weeks, we've got a horrendous run of games.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 5 weeks after that we've got like a pretty easy run of games, obviously depending on Champions League, but for the next 4 weeks, we've got a horrendous run of games, and even closer towards the end of the season, we've got Arsenal, Tottenham.
Yeah.
I know they're all probably a bit fishy at the minute, but they're still, I'm
still
obviously yes, exactly. It's still, still all to play for at the minute, and I'm just hoping that Liverpool don't get, complacent and whatever. I hope we still go for every single match from now till the end of the season.
Absolutely. So my hope and my belief is that we've wrapped it up before we play Arsenal.
Middle
of April. Or end of April. I think it's done by then, in my mind. I feel like you're absolutely right. We've got 5 games, including this game tonight. 5 games in the next 15 days. Which is, I think, potentially our hardest run of games.
We've got City,
and I think
Aston Villa as well.
Aston Villa in there, and Newcastle.
And Newcastle,
Yeah, so that's not going to be an easy run of games. But I feel like this 15 days is going to be pivotal.
Yeah, 100%.
What happens, and I think if we come through those five games, well, we've got a draw here. If we can string 3 wins together in that run, and not lose, maybe keep getting those draws instead of dropping points, I think actually that puts us in a pretty strong position. I think coming out of, if we can do that. I think as well, if we're looking at Arsenal, who are our closest, rivals, I think that there's some potential banana skins out there for them, given that they've just lost Havertz for the rest of the season as well. I know their fan base absolutely pile on him all the time, but losing that player, what have they got left up front now? In terms of players, I think it's just Trossard, Nwari, and Sterling. And the problem with this is that when you've got a lack of bodies, some of those players will end up overplaying, so potentially might pick up injuries because they're being used more than they're supposed to be used. So, there's so many if variables still to go, but Arsenal have got 3 games in that 15 days that we've got 5. And one of those games, I think it's absolute 3-pointer for them. Like, they'll win that, and that's Leicester City. Then that's followed by West Ham. And I actually think that's potentially a banana skin because Graham Potter, they've also got the new manager bounce, and it's a London derby. And then they've got Chelsea in that mix as well. And Man United, I think Man United is one of their games that are upcoming as well. United like to raise the stakes when they're playing one of the top teams.
Play big teams,
as much as we've got tough games, so have they. And what we've just got to do is just worry about our games and just try and get those points on the board as much as we can. I think we do need to win our next game, though. I think getting a draw on the weekend isn't going to be good enough at this point, given that we've dropped 2 points today. I think we need another win.
I think it's also for the confidence of the players as well. Yeah. I think, obviously we've all sort of forgotten about the FA Cup. But it's still a loss at the end of the day. We've still lost, the game. And then obviously we've went here. We've been disheartened to a draw. So I agree. It is pivotal that we do win the next game or the next run of games, to be fair. We need to win the next run of games big time.
Yeah. Good. Okay, fellas, I'm going to finish off a bit of a conversation now. And just before we end up finishing the stream tonight, just remember, everyone, just like and subscribe to everything, turn your notifications on everything so you don't miss any future streams. We'll have more streams on in the week at 7:30, and then obviously post-match at the weekend as well. Just make sure on Twitter, X and YouTube and stuff you like and subscribe to everything. Just to sum up, just before we finish off, obviously feels a bit of a sickener to concede the way we did and the game to go the way it does, where we hoped we would get 3 points to push us 9 points clear. But like the lads have said, 7 points clear, hopefully another win at the weekend to get us back on winning ways and pushing Arsenal even further behind us, hopefully, if they don't get a good result on before they play. And from there, hopefully we can push on in the next couple of weeks in this tough run of games, a few more points picked up, and see where we are come the end of this run after this 5-game period, and see if we're still as many points in front, hopefully 7 or more by then, points in front. And all of the Goodison derbies, 41 wins apiece and 38 draws to finish. But we're 7 points clear and they haven't won a trophy since 1995. So let's leave it there, boys. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Cheers.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
See you later.